Peace, peace. Hope all is well with the family. I hope you guys having a good day. This one's for the gentlemen. I'm coming back at y'all. Y'all know how I do with 5 great black men of history. My goal is to educate the young black male of America and globally on some of their ancestors, some of their great uncles and great grandfathers. So many times we're taught, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, no slight to the gods. But this is more so for those that don't get the acknowledgement. Young black male of the world, you come from greatness. Your great-grandfathers and uncles are very great men, leaders, rulers, kings. And so this video is for the fellas. Hope you guys appreciate this. Make sure to hit that sub, that like, and that notification, because I'll be coming back with some more. So yeah, we about to get straight into it. I hope you guys appreciate this. Peace. Here we have Akhenaten, 1350 BC, a black man. He's a great man. Where do I begin? I put some of the facts about him in the video, but I just want to give my perspective on each of these gentlemen before we get into those. Akhenaten, a very significant figure of history. One of the first, if not the first, one of the very first Jesus figures, if you will, Christ figures, if you will. And he was a great man outside of these certain accomplishments. He's done a lot of great things and influenced the world in a lot of different ways, So I want to give my respects and praise to my ancestor Akhenaten. With that being said, though, let's get straight into it. The era of Akhenaten is around 1350 BC. Centuries before King David, Akhenaten wrote Psalms just as great as the Judean monarchs. 1300 years before Jesus, he preached and practiced the gospel of perfect love, brotherhood, and truth. 1300 years before Jesus. 2,000 years before Muhammad existed, he taught the doctrine of the one true God. You feel me? 3,000 years before Darwin, he sensed the unity that runs through all living things. He was also one of the richest men on earth. Akhenaten himself introduced the one God concept 15 to 1300 years before Christ. He also, which I respect even more, he also encouraged the respect for the woman. And as we understand, young black man, the black woman is God in the physical. We all come from, no matter who you are, male or female, we all come from the woman. We all learned first from the woman. We all were nurtured and taken care of firstly by our mom or mother, She is our creator. She's the one God that we knew, coming straight out of the portal of the womb. So I have to respect Akhenaten for that. He encouraged the respect and praise of the woman. Also, he was, in fact, the first Messiah to let us know the kingdom of heaven was within us. Akhenaten set the bar. Akhenaten set into motion a lot of mythologies and allegories and concepts. And he ultimately led the blueprint for a lot of religions. Excuse me. So once again, I gotta say, young black man of America and of the world, start to learn your ancestors. You come from warriors, kings, rulers, scientists, in all aspects. So just because he's first doesn't mean I'm saving the best for last or anything of that nature. But I wanted you guys, literally, the fellas, to understand the greatness that comes before them. You understand? Akhenaten, 1350 BC, our first Messiah figure. 1,300 years before Jesus, 2,000 years before Muhammad, and 3,000 years before Darwin. You had Akhenaten. Much appreciation, Akhenaten. Absolutely. Let's look at our second great black male figure, which is Al-Jahiz. And another thing I wanted to mention, these figures that I'm bringing to you, I tried to expand into a global manner. So Al-Jahiz, his history is in Asia. Understand that Asians come from Africans. Okay? We can get into the geographical histories on another video, but when dealing with Al-Jahiz, we're dealing with Asia, not strictly Africa. Okay? Al-Jahiz, Asia, 778 to 868 AD. He was known as the Lord of Arab Literature, one of the world's greatest scholars of the 9th century. Zoological and anthropological sciences are due to him. When we look at Egypt and they have certain animal representations, that's kind of what zoology consists of. He was also one of the most quoted scholars of Arabic literature. This is a very intellectual person. He was very smart. He was born in Asia Minor in Basra. He also founded his own school, the Jahizite. Al-Jahiz was a bibliophile, or he found great pleasure in books. He often outright bought bookstores just to study, you know. And I relate to him in the sense that I love reading books, you know. I love studying, I love learning, I love cross-referencing, I love everything you have to do when studying, you know. So I really relate to Al-Jahiz in that manner, okay. Al-Jahiz also wrote over 120 books. Me personally, I'm working on my first. But this gentleman, this great-great-grandfather and uncle of ours, he also spoke highly of the Negroes of the world. And what I'll do is I'll pull that photo up, or take photos of the literature, and I'll post them to my Instagram and my Facebook. So look for me on there and you can read what he had to say, okay? But yes, this is Al-Jahiz of Asia, 778, 868 AD. Just to go back over his references real quick, he was known as the Lord of Arab Literature, one of the greatest scholars of the 9th century, one of the most quoted scholars of Arabic literature, founded his own school, wrote over 120 books, and as well, just like Akhenaten spoke highly of the woman, Al-Jahiz spoke highly of the Negroes of the world in general. So let's give respects to the great uncle here, Al-Jahiz. You know, these aren't people you're going to learn about in school, so it's my duty to try to give you some of this information. Young black male, you come from greatness. Your uncles and grandfathers laid the blueprint, the foundation. It's in our genes. We just have to be reminded of how great we are. And this is for the young black males and the elders as well. This is for the men, okay? This is something you can teach and show to your child, your nephew or something, okay? But yeah, this is Al-Jahiz, man. Much love and respect to the elder, the ancestor. You are appreciated. Here, here we got one of the great ancestors, you know. And in this geographical location, we're talking India. This ancestor, this uncle, this great-grandfather, his name is Malik Ambar, or Amber, 1548 to 1628. He was a military leader and statesman of India. He was also a slave who became commander-in-chief of the Bombay Empire. He captured Ahmednagar, a principal fort, then to Aurangabad, which he built, then became the ruler of. You know, he has the cliche story of started from the bottom, made it to the top. You know, understand that this gentleman was a slave, in fact. But, you know, over time, he became the commander-in-chief of the Bombay Empire. And as young black males in America, we face these obstacles and this warfare that's set against us on a daily, you know. I'm speaking more so within the landmass, corporate landmass that we call America. The black man is the number one target. But the main target, if you will, is the black woman. And the way to get to her is to get rid of us as young black men. So this gentleman is a significant figure because he came from that bottom and he made it to great status, you know. It's also said that he beat 40,000 men with only 10,000 soldiers in war strategy intelligence. When the English came to India, they had to see him first. And of course, being the pale-skinned man, they came with gifts to try to, you know, trick him and sway him. But he wasn't having it. He was too intelligent. He understood he was dealing with an enemy. And so he equipped himself with rockets, cannons, and armed elephants, and ultimately defeated them. So this is another warrior with great intellect as well. And young black man, there's no difference. You're great, you're an intelligent, and you're strong, you're fierce. You just have to remember if you've forgotten it, you know. Don't let nobody tell you anything different other than you come from and you are greatness. You know, we're America's, you know, target. We're America's number one target as young black men. So it's very important to understand the black men that came before you and the significance they have, instead of always hearing about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And that's no slight to those great ancestors, but there's so many that get overlooked, don't get no credit, you know, and it's a shame. It's a shame that more young black men don't know the great history of black male figures that come before them. And so Malik Ambar, 1548, 1628 of India, is another one of them, you know. A great military leader, a great statesman for India, you know, a slave who made it from being a slave to being commander-in-chief of an empire. You know, he protected his culture, he protected his civilization, he protected his people. And as young black males, we are the protectors of our peoples, no matter how you put it, you dig? And right here, this goes without having to be said, but this man right here was a savage. And this man, in a sense, brought the fear of white man to reality. You know, the white male or the white peoples are very fearful of black unity, of black economic being practiced, and they're fearful of us in a physical manner as well. from how dominant we are physically, hand to hand, toe to toe, and how dominant our genes are. And if you go back to history, you will understand they cut off our penises because them bitches was big. Excuse my language, but they was big. And they understood how powerful of an organ we had and what that meant for them in the long run. So, this is Shaka Zulu, 1786 to 1828. The mighty Zulu conqueror, mighty. Also known as the world's greatest despot, or savage, ruthless, militant, no fear, no pity, superior military IQ and skills. You know, he was with it. He was disciplined. He didn't accept anything less than superior, exceptional skills, discipline, militance from his people, man and woman. He was nothing like Napoleon. He would have whooped Napoleon's butt 100 times over. As a child, he was bullied verbally and physically, and he never forgot who it was who did that to him. And it came back to haunt him. When him and his mom was outcasted, they pretty much couch surfed and found a place to live, and they found a home with a man named Gomain. Gomain took them in, no problem, showed them love and respect and everything, and Shaka Zulu never forgot that. So when he came to power, he put Gomain in second in command of his entire empire. He not only was physically superior, but mentally, strategically as well. He created new weaponry, killed all who opposed him or crossed him, and that means anybody got it. If you wasn't trying to be superior, if you wasn't trying to be the best you wasn't trying to uphold the discipline, you were out of there. At age 34, he accumulated a landmass bigger than France. After his mother died, Shaka, already dealing with mental issues due to all the war and everything he's seen, it took a toll on him. So after his mother died, he lost it and eventually was assassinated by his people. But the notable mention for Shaka is that he brought black people together and created a superior people, a disciplined people, a knowledge people. And he never let the white man or any foreigner invade his land, culture, or civilization or convert anybody. He held his people down. And it was to an extreme, but he had a vision and he had his way to do things. You had to be physically fit. You had to be able to take pain. You had to kill or die in war. That was it. It was win or die. You do not run away. You do not retreat. You die on that battlefield. If anything if your people are in jeopardy in any sense of the manner, you killed them. Anybody who opposed his reign died. You understand? Shaka Zulu, very great warrior, and a beautiful reflection of the power of the black man. Now to our last and final, and no slate to be the last one. The first genius, a man of great significance. This is Imhotep, 3000 BC. He is the one and only god of medicine, father of medicine. Imhotep, the first Christ, or Prince of Peace. He was worshipped as a god for 3,000 years in Egypt, Greece, and Rome. He was such a significant man in history that early Christianity worshipped him. And Christians and that religion still do. When they end their prayer with Amen, that's an Egyptian, that's an African, Amen Ra. So we still do it, or Christians still do it, excuse me. He was a chief physician to the king. He was a sage, a scribe, a chief lector priest, architect, astronomer, magician, poet, philosopher. He diagnosed and treated over 200 diseases, 15 in the abdomen, 11 in the bladder, 10 in the rectum, 29 in the eyes, 18 of the skin. He knew how to detect diseases by the shape, color, or condition of visible parts of the body, including skin, hair, nails, and tongues. He treated spinal tuberculosis, gallstones, appendicitis, gout, rheumatoid arthritis. He knew and practiced surgery and herbal medicines. He also knew the circulation of the blood 4,000 years before savage Europe. This is Imhotep, 3000 BC, the original and the father of medicine, the god of medicine. They like to compare Hippocrates with being the father of medicine when there was no Hippocrates. It was Imhotep. This is where Hippocrates got his information, excuse me. But let's go back over just a quick rundown. Imhotep, 3000 BC. He was worshipped as a god for 3,000 years in Egypt, Greece, and Rome. He was an architect, an astronomer, a magician, a poet, a philosopher, a sage, a scribe, chief lector, priest, and he was chief physician to the king. He knew and practiced surgery and herbal medicine. He knew the circulation of blood 4,000 years before savage Europe, before Hippocrates, before any of them. When you look at modern day surgeons' utensils or tools, that can be seen in Egypt, in stone, 4,000 years before any of it. 3,000 years at least before modern times. So this is who we should thank. This is who we should give respect to, is laying that all out for us in such a manner that it was easily conceivable by the people, and we were able to take his information, all the knowledge that he had, and apply it to today. So once again, this is Imhotep. Like I said, he was the first Christ, or what they dubbed the Prince of Peace. Early Christianity worshipped him, and they still worship Amen. So when we look back at the great black men of history, there are plenty, not just these 5, but there are plenty significant figures that could make the list at any time. I just chose 5 random ones, and I tried to spread them out over the globe. So you have your Asia, you have your India, you have your Africa. And so I hope you guys appreciated the video. Make sure to hit that like, sub, and bell. Young men, this one was for you guys. All the men out there, this was for the fellas in general. Hope you guys appreciate it. Hope you guys took the time out to actually learn about them. And I hope you guys take it upon yourselves to go and learn individually. There's plenty figures that could have made the cut, but they didn't.